unbelievable.
The fact that he still
beat Checo, who's racing.
Yeah, no doubt. Dude, that's a great point.
Checo was racing Haas's whole race, okay?
Yeah, that's pretty
Checo's right now maybe in the top car fighting with the 7th best team.
Yeah, I know.
And they're neck and neck.
That's a great point.
And he
still beat Checo.
And he lost to one.
Yeah,
he did.
Max went ahead and lost the race, finished 5th, and still beat Checo.
It was Toto was saying, I think I will have a Verstappen in my car. And you guys see Christian Horner responded. He goes, if you want a Verstappen in your car, you can call Jos, which is Verstappen's father. You promised us a world championship in what, 4 or 5 years or something? What did Papa Bear say? Papa Stroll?
Oh, that's true. He
said like 4 or 5 years,
didn't he?
Oh, man,
Papa Stroll.
He said everything he needed to say to make them shareholders happy.
He's the shareholder, though.
Like I said. Shout out to Kev on this one. There was actually a Netflix crew at Austria this weekend because they thought that they were going to hold a press conference with Sainz actually going to Williams.
Really?
And it never came to fruition.
Get laced up.
Let's go.
It's time for Banter with the Boys.
Yo, welcome back to Banner with the Boys Fast Laps. Obviously, I'm Smelty. Next to me, we got Joe. Joe, what's going on?
It's going, man. That was definitely a race that we witnessed.
A race.
And now we're going to talk about it.
Hey, there's a great intro. Cole, how's your week been?
Good. Weather update. It's beautiful. Beautiful today again. Beautiful. Right? I got a...
Well, storms tonight, though.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy,
not to excite you.
Nothing I'm putting money on, you know?
Unfortunately,
Not this weekend. Not this weekend. Tyler, what's going on?
Not much, man. It's beautiful outside. It was a fun race to watch.
Fun race to watch. Obviously, before we get into that Austria GP recap, we got to talk about the Cappy one more time for you as July 4th is coming up. Tyler, do you got any 4th of July plans? You got any 4th of July plans?
I do, actually. We're planning on getting the pool open. We got a guy coming tomorrow, so in a perfect world, we're going to be just chilling by the pool. Don't want to get any pool water in the can, so just got to have that Cappy at all times.
Got to have the Cappy at all times. Speaking of having the Cappy at all times, Cole, it's got a keychain holder on it.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, too, honestly. You know, pretty easy, slide on anything. Yep, perfect. Yeah, I'll be taking it by the pool. Taking it by the pool this weekend. Might go to the lake. I don't want that lake water, you know, I'm ripping around.
Right.
Holding the skis behind the boat.
100%.
I might hold the Cappy in there. Put the thing to the test out there, huh?
But might as well. Submerge it.
I think it'll hold the test.
But yeah, absolutely. Joe, where are you utilizing the Cappy this week?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I got a bunch of friends. We're all can drinkers, so we're all going to have brews. So it's going to be nice to have, you know, the Cappy here. They're all different colors. We can kind of, know which color's ours, so we don't start grabbing each other's. We all drink the same thing because, we're all of one mind and stupid sometimes. But the Cappy's there to make sure we don't start sipping each other.
And you all have the Cappy, so you're all of one mind again. Another example.
And what better time than this weekend to take advantage of the 4-pack? You have a couple friends over, you get 2-3 packs of Cappies. Everybody's beer's labeled. They get their own choice.
And even if you order it right now, you can still get it by the 4th because of this great thing called Amazon Prime. Again, their Prime Choice item. What were you going to say about the Cappy, Cole?
No, I was just going to say exactly what you just said. Where are you going to pick it up this weekend, Schmelzy? Where are you going to grab it for this weekend?
Well, Amazon.
Amazon.
That's the only place. I should order one right now, but I just can't right now. I don't have any internet connection. But when you do get internet connection, make sure you get on Amazon Prime and order that thing. And of course, right into our, what was it, Joe? The Qatar Airways Austrian GP.
Something like that.
I think that's what it is. Ironically, next week's is also the
I have
Qatar
it right
Airways.
In front of me. Yeah, the Formula One Qatar Airways Austrian Grand Prix. Yeah, you said it.
Yeah, all right.
None of it's memorized.
Yeah, for sure. I know what I'm doing. Anyway, let's just start off with the sprint race. I did not catch the sprint race. Did you catch the sprint race, Joe?
I did. Yep.
Oh, you did too, Cole?
Race.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you
Everybody
guys
but
see?
you.
Everybody but you.
Oh, everybody.
I forgot there was it, but I did watch it. Just like, yesterday's race was so exciting.
I thought you meant like you forgot that it was.
No, I watched it.
Watch it. Okay.
It just
So everybody but me. But anyway, what did you see in it?
Starting first 9 laps, some pretty good fighting from McLaren and Red Bull. Couldn't exactly make it past him, unfortunately. We did see Piastri getting ahead of Lando. But that's that's really the only note I made the entire race. Otherwise, it was pretty chill. Nothing much else happening.
It was pretty straightforward. Do you guys think right after Piastri made the pass on Lando, they should have pulled team orders and got Lando back out there and let him fight? Because Piastri was just so much slower than Lando.
I don't think so. I mean, at that point, Lando had given it his all. He threw everything he could at Max. He passed him and then just got immediately passed back. So I don't think it was necessary. Especially you're fighting for 1 point in a real race.
Max, dude.
If it was Sunday, maybe.
Yeah.
Piastri was slower in that sprint. I mean, both races, obviously, Lando looked really good this weekend again. But stuff, I don't know. I was banking on. I was just hoping that he was going to get him.
Yeah. You don't think they made team orders to stop them from fighting the sprint, do you? Like,
yes.
you think
That I
so?
wouldn't be surprised if
Yes.
they did. It would only make sense.
They were very, like, Lando was just chilling. He was just dragging on DRS. They were just pulling away from the pack, and they were just, honestly, they looked like they were just cruising out there, like just for a joyride. They weren't racing hard. They weren't really racing. I think Lando could have caught him. Lando stayed like exactly the same time distance away from him the whole time. I think they were just both in cruise mode at that point.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like they're both respectful of each other and they know not to ruin each other's race. I feel like Oscar, even though he's in his rookie season, he's still like, not rookie, his second year, he's really shown a lot of maturity. So I feel like he's there. I do agree Lando's probably quicker. I would have hoped that if they got really, really quick, they would have allowed them to fight a little bit. But again, not to,
Probably.
I mean, come on.
You didn't
Lando's-
say that much confidence on that one.
Well, Oscar was fast this weekend. I mean, he wasn't as fast as Lando.
Lando was a
But
rocket
Lando-
ship
but he
this
got
weekend.
past
Lando was
Lando,
a-
right?
Lando was a rocket
He
ship
was,
this weekend.
but he got past him
took
in the
advantage
sprint,
of fighting. He took advantage of the fight,
He did.
though.
Yeah.
He got past him in the battle from Lando and Max. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. Like I said, it's a sprint race. You're fighting for 1 point. You don't want to mess the car up going into Sunday. You don't want to blemish on the car
Yeah.
going into
Right,
Sunday.
of course.
Both of them.
Oh, and they
McLaren
got
is
qualifying right after that too. So
Yep.
they're probably, you're right. They're probably just
There's
keeping
no need.
keeping it easy.
yeah.
2 podiums for McLaren is good in the sprint. Focus on Sunday.
And I don't think Lando cares about the 1 point. He's like Max would probably be everything he could to get that 1 point, but Lando at that point, I don't think he's gonna like put up that much of a fight against his teammate.
I mean,
That's
he
the
could
thing.
use that 1 point this weekend, though.
He could, but I mean,
But of
if
course
it wasn't his teammate,
after.
that's different. It's his teammate.
I sent you this graphic. I think before this race, I sent Tyler a graphic, and it was going over the previous 3 races before this one. And Red Bull out of Ferrari, McLaren.
Big Four.
Huh?
It was the Big Four.
Yeah, out of the Big Four, Red Bull was 3rd or 4th in points the last 3 weeks before this one.
It was all Max.
In the last 4 races.
Yeah.
And it was all Max's points. It
Oh,
was
right.
like,
It was like
Well, yeah,
Eight.
primarily.
Well, yeah, that's
majority for sure.
Okay. Yeah, you got
but like McLaren, for example, was like 20 something points above them in the last 3 races, and like Mercedes was a big jump too.
Oh, yeah, Mercedes.
It was kind of shocking how much, because based on how much they had in just those 3 races, if they keep going this progression, I mean, there's a very good chance that there's a couple teams fighting for the first in the constructors.
Well, you got Sergio Perez not racing right now. I mean,
Yeah.
he looks terrible.
yeah.
It's horrible, especially in this track.
Yeah,
This is Red Bull's track.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
It's unreal.
The car is designed for this track.
Which
I was almost mad he got 8th in the sprint. Like, even though it's 1 point for him, I was like, what are we doing? Dude? Give it to somebody else. Give it to somebody else that's trying. The
And
poor
so-
guy in the Haas behind him.
and since it is Red Bull's track, like we should see a Red Bull at least in the podium, and we didn't. So we'll head right into that. Obviously, George Russell getting the dub. I mean, I got a second career win, I believe it was for
Yep.
George.
Mhm.
Yep.
Gosh, got to give it to him. I mean, he hung in there, got the dub, just kept driving.
Yeah.
I think he was like
Did all he
chuckling
could.
about it at the end on the radio, like, I guess it's never over. You know what I mean?
it's
And,
not over till it's over.
And 100%. He's 100% right.
Yeah.
He raced everything. I mean, he did all he could have done to give himself a win in that car.
Yeah.
With how it looked, right? He did everything he could have done.
He did everything he
Nothing-
needed to do.
Nothing
yeah.
against him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had the podium locked up. I mean, you got to take advantage of the opportunities, right? It's if you're going to have that battle up front, just stay within the range where you can take advantage of it, and that's exactly what he did. If anybody would have picked George Russell as the race winner this weekend, he would have won a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure would have. I mean, you can say almost those same things about the whole podium.
Yeah.
But before we even get into McLaren, obviously Lewis had another decent drive. It was nice to see Lewis fighting. I mean, it seemed like we saw offense and defense from Lewis this race, and like again, just like last year, that upward trajectory for Lewis. I mean, do we see Lewis steal a win by the end of the season? I mean, George is racing well and getting more consistent every week.
There has to be more come to that car, I think, for him to pull a win. I don't think that car can win right now unless stuff like that happened last weekend happens.
Well, and then your dark web stuff from last week.
Yep.
About the sabotage.
And I think that, I mean, Russell, I think, is just a quicker driver than Lewis in that car right now.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, even last week with Lewis finishing above him, he did, but Russell was in third the entire race, and Lewis got him when they did that tire switch. So,
yeah.
Russell's true. Russell looks really damn good right now. He looks like what he was coveted as is this future world champion. Like, he's coming into that form with a car that isn't on the level of the Red Bull and McLaren. Mm-hmm. I mean, it might be close to that. It might be getting there at this point.
But I think we saw that gap before Max and Lando did their thing, and we'll get into that. That gap that was between Lando and Russell, I think that's about right, it seems, right now. So, like,
that's what you expect.
Getting the dub from taking advantage of the situation, but it's not like he's not earning it,
he's
sure.
A giant.
He is a giant.
He's a big dude.
After the race in that room with the three top guys, he's enormous. That guy is he's
probably like 135 pounds, too.
Speaking of that cool down room, when they and this will lead us right into McLaren, unless you got anything to say about George and Mercedes.
No. I just, like you guys said, he's super consistent. You know, he was saying he was, chilling, just keeping his pace, watching the big screen, waiting for Lando and Max just watching them fight essentially to see if they messed up, and that's what happened.
Which would have been, he had front row seat to that. Yeah,
he really did, and he took the opportunity. And the only thing I also want to call out, just because I thought it was hilarious, his two comms that he had during the race. Toto to George saying you can win this race, and George replying, just let me effing drive. And then after the race when he won it, you could actually hear George say yabba dabba do.
No, he didn't.
He did. He 100%.
That's hilarious.
He 100% just Scooby-Doo'd that win. So George is now like, I guess he's my favorite driver now. I don't know.
Oh snap! Making the jump from McLaren to Mercedes.
Yeah, I got the hat.
Just in time for
I'm
Lewis
just gonna
to
keep
leave.
wearing it. Yeah.
It's funny about the first comment too. Like Toto, after during George's cool down lap, got on the comms, was like, hey, George, sorry about getting on you, talking on the radio during your braking. And George responded just like, Toto, it's all good. I knew you were super excited. Yeah. And you could just sense the excited.
Which you could hear it in Toto's voice on the comms how excited he was about it.
Yeah. Toto, he doesn't hop on the mic that often. It's only when it's
let alone shows you that excitement. Usually it's
pretty stoic
yelling and complaining about something going on, and that's not right.
Yeah.
Michael.
You hear him on talking to the stewards or trying to calm down his drivers. when something wrong.
I haven't heard him much this season in general. I feel
you haven't heard Mercedes much.
Well,
until the last couple of races.
There is that. But anyway, back to what I was going to say in the cool down room when all three of them were in there watching the incident between Lando and Max, and they all kind of just scoffed, kind of. It was kind of funny, but they did all seem to take, and according to the commentators and the stewards, it was Max's fault. He got the 10-second compared to Lando's 5 on that incident. I'm almost positive. Did he not?
Well, Lando didn't get penalized for that incident.
Yeah.
Lando got penalized for track limits.
the track limits.
You won't see both drivers get penalized in a crash. It has to be one person's fault, right?
Which
it's
at first I didn't think it was, but watching it over and over again, I do think Max kind of came over a little bit too far.
Here's my
Pinched
issue.
him off.
Obviously, I think it was obvious it was Max's fault. I think it was Max who's won so much being a sore loser. And afterwards, he talked about I'm not out there to take second. I'm out there to win. That's why I'm racing. I don't care if I'm top in the constructors and all that. At the same time, dude, you lost. Right? And then you just did a grimy move pushing him out. And, I just makes me just love Max even more, man.
Did anybody see Lando's interview post race? I didn't watch.
Oh yeah.
He basically said that it was, Max, he blamed Max and was like, if he looks back at this and doesn't take any sort of responsibility, I'm going to lose a lot. I'm going to lose all respect for him. and then followed that up where even if he takes responsibility, I'll earn a little bit back.
Well,
Lando was heated.
And because again, we've
As
constantly
heated as
seen
Lando gets.
and
you
we
know,
right, but we've constantly seen the past few weeks how frustrated Lando's getting not winning. He wants to get the win.
And he drove to win.
He did.
He did.
He did everything he could.
Yeah, the correct race to win. That was all on Max. And even expand on what you were saying, Lando was saying that like there's if he doesn't come out and own up to it, like their friendship might be tarnished.
Which is wild.
Yeah, they're best buds.
But I mean, if you think about it, 20, 30 years ago on the grid,
nobody was friends.
Yeah, thank you. Nobody was friends. So like, I'd love to see get back to a mix of that. I don't need to see fist fighting. You know,
Yeah.
no,
If
not
you're gonna
like
do
this.
that, let the battling on track. Let's go back to like I don't know, even like the Lewis and Max battles, right? There was respect on the track between it. There wasn't any dirty moves, and I think that's a part of where the issue lies right now is Max coming up in F1 has not been penalized for this type of driving. It's not that Max did anything different this race than he's done his entire career. That's just the type of driver he is, and if the FIA just keeps letting him get away with it, this is what what's his name, Andrea Stefani? What is McLaren's it's like
Ride with it.
His principal.
it's not the principal. Yeah, it's like it's the principal because it's not Brown because he's the whatever. But he came on
Andrea Stella, I think.
Stella, there you go, Andrea Stella. So he came on and was like, "This is this is what you get when Max has been able to get away with this his entire career.
Yep.
Like you can't expect the driver to change at this point if he's used to this happening and he's getting away with it. Then it is what it is. Yeah, you got to make the adjustment as Verstappen. Like I think it is with you. What you're saying a lot, Cole, is like he's doing what he needs to do to win because he knows the race is lost at that point. So you got to put the elbows out. Now he put them out too far in this case, obviously. Right. And I mean, it was nice to see though Max he did take accountability for it. He didn't just instantly blame Lando like he typically does. Even the immediate post-race interview, not the press conference. But he was just like, it's easy to make judgments right now. I need to go back and look at the footage and see what actually happened. Like I thought I gave him enough room, but it's all right away. And then what sparked that too, though, Cole, was the question: is the podium? The reporter literally asked him, "Why didn't you just let him pass you? You're first in the constructor standings."
Yes,
that's a stupid question to ask an F1 driver. It's a bait question, right?
Yeah,
it's a bait question.
It's definitely a bait question.
So it's like you have to respond that way with your Verstappen.
But just to gauge everybody in agreement, it was Max's. It was on Max, right?
Everybody's I think so.
It's the overwhelming consensus between F1.
Absolutely, yeah. He was making some pretty dirty moves, like under braking, which you shouldn't do.
Childish moves.
And then like once he got that puncture, he continued to do it. He pushed Lando off again. Yeah, I think the penalty was deserved.
He didn't. You could see him not turning anymore. Like after he got it,
I think the penalty was deserved. Unfortunately, he just didn't do anything.
I cannot tell you how frustrated it made me that he still finished fifth.
Same.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. And the fact that he still beat Checo, who's racing.
No doubt. Dude, that's a great point.
Checo was racing Haas's whole race, okay?
Yeah, that's pretty
Checo's right now maybe in the top car fighting with the 7th best team. They're neck and neck.
That's a great point.
And he lost
still beat Checo.
And he lost to one.
Yeah, he did.
Max went ahead and lost the race, finished 5th, and still beat Checo.
I just wish
that's hilarious.
It makes me even more angry that Lando DNF'd and he still got points.
For sure.
I was hoping Lando still made it enough to make like a 9th, 10th, like one of those to still get something. That just drives me nuts that he still got 5th.
Yeah, and the car's damage going forward.
Well, for sure. The thing that drives me nuts about that incident, and then I suppose we can move on, is the fact that something was going on with like Max's transmission or something late too. They were telling him to stay in 7th or whatever, and he just kept trying to push it, you know what I mean?
I think that was on the straightaway.
And then he was trying to
It was on the
straightaway. They were trying to see if he should go into 8th to gain more speed on it to get a faster lap. And
I thought they were straight up telling him not to because there's an issue with it.
I don't think there was an issue. I think they were just trying to conserve.
The commentators speculated about that. I see why you're getting it.
Okay.
It's like they were like speculating the ECU because they're already down to whatever. It's just a matter of a race at this point where he's going to get the penalty.
They were just trying to conserve.
I think it was tired. Yeah, tire strategy.
Oh, tired.
Yeah, his tires definitely did not work in that last stint. I mean,
no, he was complaining about him for a hot minute.
So I gotta ask follow up because I honestly just don't know. Lando and Max driving the rest of that to pit and get new tires. Is that not similar to what Checo did and got a 3-place grid penalty?
So I had the exact same thought.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Because nothing was hanging off of their car.
I think
Those tires easily could have popped off.
they could have. I don't think you can make that argument for Max's situation.
Well, his rim was all messed up.
It was, but like it wasn't like
I mean, there was
like the
no
rubber
tire
on
left
Lando's
on that
wheels, like
wheel.
whipping around, hitting all the carbon fiber and stuff. That's the one where I could see it, but
there must be something
you're
in the
right.
rules for specifically punctures, because
Yeah.
I've seen multiple times
Or
where
that.
punctures have
That's
gone in.
true.
I don't know if this is a fact, but like, I mean, there's got to be something, because
yeah.
you see them.
And-
Oh, you see it happen. I mean, not all the time nowadays, but you saw it happen all the time. And
Lewis won a
Checo's
race
car
that
was
way.
the back of his car
Yeah.
was destroyed.
did.
You know, so
That's true.
Yeah.
There wasn't any like nobody hit the barrier for anything.
you're
and
right,
nothing
Joe.
was.
I mean, Lando, like he was going to the pits. His
Yeah.
There's
tire
stuff
was
everywhere.
literally spinning. Yeah, so I maybe it's also rubber. It's not. It's obviously not great to have on the track, but it's also not like the biggest safety concern for them, because
But
it's
once
already.
you start
wonder
hitting the
how
carbon
hard-
fiber and just destroying that,
You wonder,
engine.
like, I know, like, for example, when I used to race four-wheelers, it's like they used to put stuff on the tires and stuff to make it pretty much impossible for them to pop off the rim.
Mhm.
They must have something similar to that in F1, where like it's pretty hard for those tires to pop off the rim.
I would imagine.
Because Lando's the way it was still holding on, like just
But-
not only to rip, but just like for them to go horizontally off.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you also, I mean, you're talking speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, but I mean they
They're
also
still
put
hanging
millions
on,
in there.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, no, for sure.
sure there probably is
yeah,
something.
it's
Like,
not like your
there's gotta be
normal car
something.
tire.
Yeah, yeah,
Our
yeah,
drums
yeah,
are made
yeah.
that way.
It's
That's a
probably
good
similar
thought.
like
Yeah.
technology behind whatever NASCAR and Indy uses. I'm sure it's all just a general like. I'm sure it's built into the safety regulations.
And it just threw me off. I was like, maybe Max will get another three.
Yeah, that was my initial thought too. Though was like, what? That was my first thought. Was
Oh, man.
how are these guys
It was so
continuing?
hectic.
Max was
Yeah,
still
it was so-
moving quick
and-
too when he
And so okay, counterpoint to that real quick. I agree. I mean, because it's just tires, that's probably why. But when Russell made the pass on those two, when they're both kind of neck and neck a little bit, and both their tires are ripping everywhere, it's not a clean move. It's a pretty it's tough for Russell to have to make that pass at the top speed he was. Like, it's a dangerous move, and that's the same reason why you don't allow the back wing and stuff like that, because it's dangerous for the rest of the drivers on the track.
Mhm.
It was clearly a dangerous track with those two still trying to race each other with no freaking tire, and Russell's at top speed. That's where my thought
For
behind
sure.
it is. Like, there
For
should
sure.
be
And
something.
maybe they'll look at that
And,
now.
and not for
You
Lando.
don't think so?
Not for Lando
Not
because
to
he
do
didn't do
anything
it,
about
but
it,
just
but-
to Max. Not to Lando because he didn't cause wreck, but just for Max.
This dude. Well, let's go back to McLaren real quick. Just recap on Oscar. Also a great day. Obviously getting second place. He was fast all day. Really,
He should have won this race.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was fast all day.
He qualified P3 and got that track limits, which dropped him down to 7th. If he qualifies P3, he wins this race,
man.
assuming he keeps position like Russell did.
Yeah.
He was so angry
Well,
after that.
And he was moving past Lewis and Carlos.
And he was catching George.
He was catching.
He was
I
catching
think,
George.
I think if enough like laps, he would have caught him. I think.
Well, and the moves he's using, you can see his experience just growing each race
Yeah.
too. I mean,
And his comfortability in that car.
100%.
Yeah.
No, 100%. So I mean, honestly, I don't have much to say else about McLaren or Oscar for that matter. I mean, they're doing everything we think they're gonna do.
Oh.
Lando will be right back up there next week.
Yeah, I'll just say one thing. Oscar, he was not happy for second at the end of that race, which just shows he's hungry. He wants his win now.
So
So that's great to
Okay,
see, man.
so-
or is he young and immature right now?
I mean, hey,
he
which
got
is-
blessed too.
I mean, are we gonna see battles between Lando and Oscar? Like,
McLaren won't allow it. McLaren doesn't
won't
operate
allow
like
it.
that.
I know,
They
yeah,
just
I
simply
agree.
there's a first driver's seat in McLaren, and that is Lando Norris. He will always get the benefit of the doubt, as he should. I mean, in that difference, it's not like you have
and Oscar just like job security, just doesn't want to push that envelope. You think?
No, but I think you have to earn it. Just like we saw with Danny
for
Rick.
sure.
Just like with Danny Rick and Lando. Am I wrong? Who did Lando race against with his first year? Danny Rick, right?
His first year was Sainz.
his first year with Sainz, and then Lando came in to replace Sainz.
No. Danny came in to replace Sainz.
Yeah, so it was Danny.
sorry,
so when
yeah.
it was Danny and Lando, it was kind of thought to be like the Danny Rick was a one seat. And then I think towards the progression of how good Lando kept racing towards the end of the season, I think there is right now a top seat, but I think if Piastri can really perform great the rest of the season, he can get that. Like he was saying, they're not going to let them fight. I don't think he'll ever pass Lando. I don't think he's a better driver. But McLaren, they're not going to let them fight. But again, if you show that you're the better driver, you'll get that top seat. You'll get
But
like
if he's faster on the day,
just like with Danny Rick and Lando. That's the comparison I was trying to make. Is Danny Rick was kind of the one that they lifted up the whole first half of the season, and then when Lando showed, hey, I'm here to race, they started to give Lando the top seat type.
A little bit more leash.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Let's just recap on. Well, I guess let's recap on Red Bull really quick since we've already been there. I mean, actually, I don't really have anything else to say about Red Bull. Now I think about it. We already touched on Checo.
Why does he have a seat next year is the only question I have.
Do they take him out of that seat at all?
You just signed him to an extension.
I know, but can you, I don't know how it works. Can you release a driver and you're guaranteed to pay them the money type deal?
Yeah,
or
I kind of bet that they probably won't keep him for 26, even though he's got the 1+1. I don't think they're going to plus him
No
up.
chance.
Red Bull being Red Bull, there's gotta be an opportunity for them
plan,
to.
maybe?
No, I don't think there's a greater plan. I think they're just licking their wounds at the moment.
I would agree.
I think there's a possibility though that Checo could be replaced at some point next season.
Absolutely.
Mid-season, do you think Checo completes next season?
He completes it in a V carb or a Red Bull.
Yeah, I could see him maybe
A
getting
driver
swapped out.
swap.
I could also see him just getting straight up booted.
So
Yeah.
in response to the whole Verstappen thing, there was Toto was saying, I think I will have a Verstappen in my car, and you guys see Christian Horner responded. He goes, if you want a Verstappen in your car, you can call Jos, which is Verstappen's father.
Dude, they hate each other.
Yeah,
Horner and Jos.
What is
They
going
hate each
on?
other.
He's
It's
open
like a
about
public
it,
hate too.
Yeah,
They hold it back.
Yeah, they really hate each other. It was all over the news again. Every week there's something going on between those two. But let's talk about that third driver, Carlos Sainz, and Ferrari as a whole. Obviously, Leclerc we'll talk about Leclerc quick first because that's an easy one. Just getting the short end of the stick there at the beginning of the race. And honestly, he never really recovered. He still, though, almost made it back into points, coming back from as far south as, I think, 19th, or did he even run 20th for a second?
He was 20. I think he started off in 20th because he started to pit first.
No.
He got
first
damaged
turn.
and then he had to pit immediately. Oh well,
The wing.
He pitted after the first lap,
Yes.
and then Sargent didn't pit till the second lap, I think, or something like that.
Oh,
So I think he was 20. He was 20th for 5
I thought
seconds.
they both went in.
No, because there's twice on the track, I think, where he passed Sargent pretty
So,
quickly.
I mean, either way, he still battled his way back to an 11th place finish.
Yeah, it
Obviously,
would've
it's not going to do anything in the points, but
It'd been awesome to see him get 10s.
still another
He was
great
driving.
showing of skill.
He was driving,
Oh, for sure.
right? It's,
sure.
it's tough where he had to fight from, but I don't know. I think it kind of just shows Ferrari's not gone.
100%.
Right? They're still there to fight. They're still there to fight for maybe even a podium or top 4.
Because even if you still had Max and Lando up there, I mean, you still got 5th place with Carlos. I mean, considering the past few weeks with Ferrari.
Nobody in red can be happy about that.
No, well, they're not. Of course, they want more because of obviously who they are, their history, all that jazz, and their pride. They take great pride in what they do, but it's still better than last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think they're as
You know?
far away as a lot of people might have thought because of how their last couple weeks went.
Could they even battle McLaren right now?
No.
Do you think they can even keep up with
They're not
McLaren?
even fighting Mercedes. Mercedes are getting past them pretty easy.
That's what I mean. Mercedes seems like they can fight McLaren. Obviously, they got the win, but under circumstances. But
I don't know if
Mercedes-
Mercedes could battle McLaren at this point. I think the only it's not even a team
It's
that
just
can
Red
battle
Bull and McLaren.
No, it's not even Red Bull. It's just Max.
is Max versus McLaren?
And I don't even
It's
think
not
it's
Checo.
I don't even think it's
Yeah,
McLaren.
no doubt.
I don't even think it's McLaren right now. I think it's just Lando and Max who wants
would
to win the
agree with
race.
True.
It's not because honestly, if Lando's in 20th, I think there's not a lot of races Oscar finishes first.
Sure.
You
I
know,
would agree.
Joe, you got anything for where Ferrari's at right now at this point in the season?
I just hate that point you guys made. You're right though. It's something that I really haven't thought a lot about. Ferrari is kind of dropping behind a little bit. You still think of them as like the team to fight McLaren and maybe Red Bull, but you're right. The last few races, besides Monaco, which is kind of a fixed race a little bit for qualifying, yeah, they haven't looked amazing. Like Carlos, he was in 5th, and then the top 2 got knocked out, and then he got that podium. So yeah, maybe they're fighting Mercedes more. We got some other bottom teams that are making more of a show of themselves as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I'd like to think they maybe make a comeback. I can't remember what they did last season, if they did much of that. I know Mercedes made a huge comeback, but I don't know if Ferrari lasted through as much as them.
well, no, they started off hot like this year.
Started off hot and then
But
they
I
had
think they were
reliability
average.
issues.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
I think
Well,
they
it
were
wasn't that like
average.
their engines were failing, but like Mercedes and McLaren had jumped ahead of them at like the mid to right after the midway point.
And they were just average at the end of the year, kind of like this right now.
I mean, they were still like handily beating the Astons and everybody
Yeah.
below them, but they were like they weren't fighting the top three.
So with Ferrari, let's head right back into Haas. Actually, that was a pretty good showing from Haas.
Sure
Awesome.
was.
Yeah.
I mean, best all-around team showing from Haas I think we've seen in a minute. Not only the drivers, but just the team as a whole seemed to have a decent strategy on the weekend. You using the Cappy over there? But I mean, a great showing from Nico, finishing 6th. K-Mag obviously in 8th. Are we looking for anything better from Nico at this point? I mean, that's about as high as you can expect in a Haas car. But if you're Kick Sauber, are you hoping for anything more so you feel better? I mean, I already feel pretty good if I'm them about landing Nico for the next 2 years, right? I believe. I think Hulk's and Kick Sauber Audi for the next 2 years.
Yeah, he's going over next year, and then he stays with the team for their conversion into
First
Audi.
year. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Haas is just, good races and bad races, right? I think we're going to see them in top 10 at least a few more times. I just don't think it's going to be all the time.
Mhm.
I think it's just, if the track suits them, let's see them up there. I definitely think they're not the worst team on the grid. It's just, sometimes I have issues with, the pit team, or, maybe K-Mag is
K-Magging it up.
deciding to be, yeah, exactly. He decides to play bumper cars with the rest of the grid. But yeah, I don't know. I think Haas is definitely not someone to count out. I think they got a decent amount of points right now. So
Yeah.
Yeah, they jumped up. They just passed Alpine this last race, I think, with their points
Did they?
to 7th.
Yeah, they were 1 point behind, and now they hopped up big.
They're 9
this
up,
race.
right?
They got 10 up.
And Alpine's not racing that bad as a
They're
whole
consistently
right
really,
now.
yeah.
So like that
consistently 9-10.
that
Yeah.
could be another
But
battle.
A big jump for sure. And I mean, honestly, I think it's an amazing race out of them, 6 and 8. The fact that Checo can't beat a Haas and he's sandwiched between 2 Haas's, it's gross.
Oh, actually, with Haas, I will say there was a moment when Max passed the 2 Haas's, and then he was complaining about them being so close because they wouldn't fall behind him. So he kept complaining to GP, and GP's like, "It's fine. They're not going to do anything. Just drive the car." He's like, "I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about Lando. They're gonna get So they were sticking to the back of Max a little bit. Yeah, like I said, I just feel like good races, bad races, but
Sure.
they,
But I mean,
they look
they're
good.
another one that's trending up. I mean,
Yeah.
like Alpine, they're both kind of starting to climb almost consistently in that 7 to 10 spot.
And I think kind of throughout the whole year, at least Nico has been fighting within top 12.
Oh,
Pretty-
for
almost,
sure.
almost every
Consistently.
race.
Pretty
I mean, I
consistently,
wouldn't
yeah.
say like they're on a climb right now. I just think it was just a good race put together for them. I think they're always gonna be fighting for 9-10.
I'm saying
They
in
look good.
comparison to like beginning of the season for sure they were dead in the water, and just seasons.
Not really. I
Haas?
mean, they got a point the first season.
Oh, that's right.
First race.
And Nico
Haas started
he
out
finished
hot.
10, right?
I think they climbed to 6th right up the jump.
I do remember. I
constructors.
do believe their first season was pretty good, and then they just started
First race. But
Oh,
yeah,
first race of
race.
this
yeah,
season.
first
Yeah.
race of this
Yeah,
season.
no, first race of this season. I think they
started
were
off hot.
off the bat. Yeah,
I'm just saying, I guess more or less
They've been
in
pretty
comparison into what we're used to from Haas the
Your
last
point
couple
just
of
got
years.
butchered there.
It did get butchered. You're
Well,
right.
but I mean, like we see.
We're
we
just
see
not used to the
Haas-
consistency from
Yeah,
Haas.
we see
True,
Haas do
true.
well. Really, like they do pretty well right off the bat, and then they start falling behind a little bit, and then
For
they just
sure.
kind of, like I said, they just kind of grab points where they can. So
Do you think this is anything? Does this hurt Gunther? How good they're doing this year?
I don't think anybody's really talking about Gunther anymore.
No, but there's something to be said about that.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean, like majority of the
I don't
fans,
think
especially in
so.
like America and stuff, or
They're all
Drive to
gonna love
Survive
him.
fans, they love Gunther.
We're all gonna love him.
I just feel
Yeah,
like
I don't think-
as far as a principal,
Well, I don't think I don't know if he'll get another shot.
not a principal, no shot. No.
So, I think that would be the answer there. I mean, I don't think it changes the view on Gunther. I think everybody still loves him, but for his personality.
or did Gunther set up this year's team to be as it is right now? Right? Because I feel like a Haas, I mean,
He's been
yeah,
setting up
they-
for a minute then.
Right. You're right. That he can only do so much, but I feel like the Haas at some point in like the seasons, they stop developing their own car and they just get ready for next year because
So Gunther actually
Little
had an
chopped.
interview about that, and he said about halfway through the years when you really start putting the effort into next year's car. So you could make an argument that it is partially Gunther. I mean,
I imagine with their resources, kind of got to focus like one or the other a little bit, or else they're
Yeah.
just going to be screwed both seasons. So,
Yeah.
And he was responsible for getting Nico and K-Mag, so.
yeah, you know.
True.
Hey, Haas is Gunther's design, man.
It is. And I mean, if they stay in 7th, like they're set up for next year and the year after pretty good from
That'd be a
there.
great finish
Yeah.
for Haas.
It'll be their
Really
highest
good-
ever.
Really good finish.
No, tied for the highest ever.
Tied.
We just got to see next year if they start, throttling themselves a ton. Then we know for a fact it was all Gunther.
Yeah, well, we got to see who's even in the cars next year. They don't have any committed
Yeah.
drivers.
It's very true.
Oh,
Yeah, they don't.
That's right. Because Nico's gone obviously.
I mean,
and
you can-
K-Mag's not.
You can put Behrman in one of the
Behrman's
seats.
going to get
but
one of them.
Yeah, Behrman will get one.
He just won the sprint race.
Let's go,
for F2 this
Carlos.
weekend. Nah, Carlos is going to Williams. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Let's just touch real quick on the V carbs. Danny Rick obviously in points again. Continuing to grab a couple points here and there, while his counterpart Yuki seems to be struggling as of late.
This
They
is
seem to
like-
have kind of swapped roles now. All of a sudden, Danny Rick's getting slightly more consistent between that 7 and 10 spot, and Yuki now is kind of
I
falling
told
out
you.
of the point.
Here he's coming. I told you back half of the year he's coming.
He's fighting for a seat next year somewhere.
Yeah, he's racing great. He raced great this weekend.
He did.
Yeah, and
He
he's
did.
placing above Yuki, I think, the last 3 races, right?
Mhm. That sounds
So-
right. I mean, they've literally kind of swapped roles a little bit.
He's stepping up a little bit. I don't know if it's going to save him, but he's trying.
He's only 8 points back from him on the year in the drivers.
Not bad.
Oh, wow.
Let's just move right into the Alpines battling each other again at some point on the track, bumping tires, bumping uglies. They just can't deal with each other.
You need to
Love
pull
watching
Ocon out of
him
that car, dude.
They're a
Before
fun
they-
team
yeah.
to watch, man. Like, they were bringing all the excitement the first quarter of this race, dude. I was just like, these guys are idiots. But
Yeah,
it's-
literally.
like,
I mean, Gasly's sending it. Ocon's doing everything he can to wreck the car, and it's just not happening.
the team
He's
principal
just being
has
aggressive, though. I mean, he's making moves.
he is making moves. The team principal just has to be just puckering the whole race.
Pucker.
The whole race.
Are they doing
Wait,
this?
Didn't Alonso jump on the mic or something, like laugh? Like, what
He's
is
like,
that?
wow.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, they like touched each other right in front of him. He's like, wow.
As they were
man.
both getting past him.
Yeah.
Seeing the Alpines fight is so funny.
Speaking of Alonso, obviously struggling a little bit, as well as his counterpart Stroll, fresh off his new deal.
Their year's done, right?
I kind of think so. Yeah.
That's pretty
I'm
much
not sure
it.
they're coming back from this.
They're fighting. I think they're trying to fight Haas and Racing Bull. They're just trying to maintain their spot right now. Haas, Racing Bull, and Alpine. They're just trying to maintain 5th. I think that's where they're at right now.
Yeah.
Which,
It's not horrible, but you promised us a world championship in what, 4 or 5 years or something? What did
I mean,
What did Papa Bear say? Papa Stroll?
oh, that's true. He did
said,
say
like, 4 or
something like
5
that,
years.
didn't he?
Oh, man.
Papa
crazy.
Stroll.
He said everything he needed to say to make them shareholders happy, baby.
He's the shareholder, though.
Like I said. You got to start by convincing yourself.
Talking himself up in the mirror.
It's so
I
funny.
promise you right now, a hidden camera, a fly on his wall. He is not happy, dude.
You're going to do this.
How those self-talks in the mirror change over the course of
Yeah.
being the main money man.
Does he have another son, or is his last hope Stroll?
Does he have another son? Kev, with that, let's roll into the news to talk about his current son. And right back into the news. Let's start off with Stroll's re-signing. Papa Stroll's current son. Why, man? Other than the fact that
What do you
Papa
mean,
Stroll's
why?
in charge.
This is the most.
That's
This is
it.
the most sure thing in Formula
That's
One there
it.
is in terms of a seat.
Talk about job security, bro.
Yeah.
Like, no performance review, nothing. You're just, hey, guess what, buddy? You got a raise and a 2-year deal. Or 3, isn't it? Like, it's way too long.
We
They
just
said no.
pulled up a photo of the daughter. A lot more people would pay and be happy to see her in a racing car. I'll tell you that.
Oh boy.
Oh, man. Moving on from that, nothing else to say about Stroll. Gasly getting a multi-year extension with Alpine. I think that's been well-deserved, especially as of late. Seems to be trending upwards as well. And with Ocon leaving for sure.
Yeah.
Alpine locks down a mid-tier driver for long term.
Yeah, I think I was maybe just a little surprised that they got him to stay even. Because I mean, but the Alpine's definitely looking better.
You think
but
Gasly probably wanted to dip out?
I thought there were talks that, you know, like, I mean, yeah, the first part of the season was dismal. I would imagine he probably didn't want to be there a whole lot, but it's good that they got him. They got someone who knows how to drive the car, who knows just how to drive a car at least decently well, like you said.
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
you know, now they just got to fill the other seat with someone who is an Ocon, you know.
And who's that rumor right now? I mean,
I keep thinking it's gonna probably be Jack Doohan, right? Their reserve driver. I'd love to see.
It has to be, right?
I want to see their reserve drivers in the seat.
Who else is even on the table for him? Science?
I
don't think so.
Mick could probably be on the table for them, maybe.
Who?
Mick, Alpine.
You just love yourself some Mick Schumacher, bro.
Yeah,
you just want him you want him on the grid next year.
he's gonna get another shot.
I think he will.
He will.
I think.
But who are you giving a shot to?
I think right now the Williams is either it's gonna be.
We're talking about Alpines.
Yeah, no, what I'm thinking Williams right now is Doohan or
Williams, bro. We're talking about Alpine. Doohan's the reserve driver for Alpine.
Yeah, so Doohan and Lawson. Lawson's gonna find a seat next year, I think.
Oh, you just be like reserve drivers in general.
No, yeah, well, reserve drivers.
I mean, Lawson didn't really get that long of a shot, right?
So
yeah,
I think Lawson's in a V carb.
Lawson's in a V carb. Yes,
I hope so. I think the reason why I say Mick possibly is because the exact same happened with Ocon. He was a reserve driver from McLaren, and Toto got him into the seat of the Alpine, which I think was probably Renault at the time. So Toto could do the same thing. Maybe. I still think they're probably going to choose Doohan over him, though. I would like to see Mick back on the grid. I think he deserves another chance. So just to show us that it wasn't the Haas and that he really isn't his father.
Let me throw something at you.
Let
me throw something at you. So Mercedes doesn't want to get rid of Mick. Keep him as a reserve driver. They put Kimi in that seat next year, knowing they can have Mick step in if need be. I don't think Mercedes lets Mick walk out the door.
That's no security for me.
I don't think Mercedes lets Mick walk out the door.
Then hey, Mercedes makes a contract saying, "Hey, Alpine, you get Mick, but if we need him, we pull him, and then you get Kimi." I mean, I just think, is it Nikki or Kimi? I keep saying Kimi. It is Kimi. Okay, yeah, I just think Mercedes has a lot of pull with whatever they want to do, and they have something going on with Alpine, right? Like they have some kind of deal with them. I don't know why, but yeah. So that's kind of my thought in terms of who replaces Ocon. It's going to be Doohan or maybe Mick. I don't know. Is there anyone else that's slotted?
You don't think it's Danny Rick at all?
Danny Rick for Alpine?
I think if he finds a spot, it's either going to be with Alpine or Racing Bull.
I don't think Alpine's good. I think Alpine's going to want somebody newer.
I guess Haas.
I think Alpine's want to go younger because they have Gasly now.
Yeah, and they have. I don't know if they'd want it because they've.
Does Rick stay on the grid or Danny Rick stay on the grid next year?
There's a chance he doesn't.
Do you think Renault would want to take Rick back because that used to be Renault and Danny Rick hung him out to dry?
He left him. Contract. He wasn't a good but
it's a different principle. It's a different everything now. I don't think that has any.
You would hope not. I don't know if he'd want to go back though.
I don't know. I mean, Danny Rick is just such an unknown right now, like where his future lies. Because like he's not getting back into the Red Bull seat.
So
it makes it more challenging that he's getting points.
The same thing you said about Mick, I think is the same thing I could say about Red Bull. I think Danny Rick is still a face on the grid that Red Bull wants. I just don't know if they can place him in the V. Yeah. I just don't know what that means, like where he would go. But
hey, that's the thing. It's like, I mean, maybe their reserve driver role again, just so they have him in the building in case anything happens with Perez.
I love that,
but I don't know. It's just like the Alpine to me is
and he could stay in that.
It's kind of it's not the biggest question mark, but like they're consistently top of the midfield if you exclude Aston from that the last couple of years. I mean, even include Aston right now with how they're performing, right?
Yeah.
So it's just it's you'd think it would be much more of a coveted seat than it like is coming out to be. Like I don't think it's a bad idea if Science goes there.
To Alpine?
Yeah, I think that would be good for Science.
I would agree. I think right now we just look at it like that because how they're performing right now. But I mean, other than Mercedes, it might be his best option. Either Mercedes or Williams or Alpine. Is Williams or Alpine a better spot right now?
I'm going Alpine.
Than Williams?
Consistently, Alpine has been above Williams. I mean, you look at the last 5 years.
Yeah. And then it's Albon literally right behind them pretty much. But yeah, I mean, they have been consistently better, outperforming Albon all season.
But then you look at the Alpine this year even, right? As soon as I got that car under weight, they've been consistently in the top 12. The car was too heavy. You can't, the difference in like the kilos, because it's not America, is like even 10 kilos is so much. Now, granted, I don't think it was that high. I don't think you could get away with that, but that's so much, even 4 or 5. That's so much weight when you're talking tenths of seconds that matter.
Yep. And I think they say every kilo is like a tenth or something like that. So,
And I think at one point, I think I heard they were 11 kilos overweight.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
they were very overweight. Yeah, I think you're right. I think over the years, Alpine has been consistently better, and so it probably would be the best choice. All this talk about him going to Williams, what is there for him at Williams long term? The promise of it's going to be a good team one day, like they give Albon. I don't know.
So that's where my next point.
You talking for Carlos?
Yeah.
So that's where my next point was kind of going to tie into. As far as like all these drivers, they always talk about like I think Albon turned down Mercedes because they didn't like the way Mercedes looked and their plan for the future. How much do you really think they get to see on the plan for where they're going to go with that car? Like there's no way they're making a decision based on that, right?
Well, and it's projections, right? Like you're projecting this off of like
there's nothing
data.
guaranteed.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. And what like I just wish, hold on, Lando coming in right now. No, I wish we had somebody that could tell us what was going on. Like how much you really find out.
I don't understand that
Like
one
Lando
bit.
You're
FaceTime.
saying like Lando's gonna walk into the pod right now,
Oh,
like little old us. Yeah.
But no, like how much?
good one.
How much do these drivers really know about like the car and like, because I feel like it's a lot of the deciding factors are always like, oh, I'm not liking the way that car looks. I'm really liking the way this car looks. But how much data or how much are they really going to give a driver that they're not signed up to yet?
Well, there's that part too, right?
That's crazy because you look at Lewis leaving Mercedes. He didn't like what he was seeing in the 2026.
And that's the same reason that Albon didn't like Mercedes either.
Mm-hmm.
But so like how much could they really know? No way they're just giving that information out there.
Especially if you're an Albon, right? Like you think that the Williams has a chance in hell of performing at the level of a Mercedes? Like, are you kidding me? Unless if Williams just threw that much more money at him, or is Mercedes
which
just
could
not
be a
willing
thing.
to offer him a long-term contract because of Kimi?
Or that.
I think it's the latter. I don't see a world where Albon would stay in Williams. I mean, like, you're building a legacy, but you're building it in a team that has a good legacy, but has
Facts.
an awful car as of the last decade, right? Yeah. So I just don't know. It's a weird decision.
2 decades.
2
man.
decades, probably.
2 decades.
Yep.
I don't know. I just
Closing
That part
thoughts.
fresh-
Closing
yeah.
thoughts on the seats.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'll say is Science came out, or his manager came out and said that he is completely comfortable, he's completely calm, and he's ready to make his decision. I forget when they said he's ready to make his decision, but like he has basically his decision made, and he's not stressing about the seat at all. It's just us, I guess, stressing about where he's going to be next year.
So they were, shout out to Kev on this one. There was actually a Netflix crew at Austria this weekend because they thought that they were going to hold a press conference with Science actually going to Williams. And it never came to fruition. So there was a Netflix crew for Drive to Survive,
God,
like
again, though,
separate
like
on
what
crew
you
just
said,
for
what
that
are you
press
seeing
conference.
at Williams? Like
I don't
what-
know.
But it's so put yourself in Science. Like I think that Alpine's a better car than Williams, but out of everybody that's left, I'm going Williams. No, that's not. I mean,
No, you just said Alpine
whoa.
before.
no.
Bait and
Take
switch.
Alpine out of it. I'm saying
Oh,
like of the
wow.
ones that are left, it's like it's
other
Haas
than
or
Alpine,
Williams.
it'd be Haas or Williams.
It's
Mercedes
Haas or
or-
Williams.
yeah.
Well, Mercedes isn't in. I'm
It's
so
just not
serious.
going to happen. Yeah.
Mercedes, I'm
Obviously,
taking
I think.
completely out of the
Obviously, I think we
equation.
all agree that Mercedes would be
Mercedes
the best
is the most
spot for
coveted
Carlos.
spot that's
But
open right now.
Other
It's
than
just, and then like the same thing, like on that point, I think Racing Bull, their principal, whatever, came out and said, we have plenty of time. We're not going to rush your decision. Like, we're good. We have time to decide this one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think we're not going to find out a lot of this stuff
They
for a
have
couple
time.
weeks.
They have time because all of their options are already in the team. They don't have to make that decision, right? They're
Right.
just pulling whoever they need to.
Because for Racing Bull, it's gonna be Danny Rick or Liam Lawson.
Yeah,
I don't think there's
Yeah, most
any
likely.
way
I
either
think
one of
so.
those two are not in that
Most
seat.
likely.
Next
I
year.
agree.
Mhm.
I agree.
Hmm.
Unless if Danny Rick goes to Alpine
So
and
are
Liam
you
Lawson
saying-
goes to Haas.
Are you saying Yuki's definitely staying in the car?
Well, he already signed
Yeah,
an extension,
yeah.
brother.
Oh, he did. Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. I couldn't remember if he already signed the
Yeah,
extension.
yeah.
or not. Okay.
Yuki's locked in.
So Yuki's locked in. Yeah, man.
like Helmut even talked about Liam Lawson.
he did.
He did.
He definitely
He did start
But
some
Helmut
stuff.
talks, man. Helmut says all the things all the time.
Sometimes
He
a
talks to
little bit on
himself.
the racy side, even.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe he talks too much sometimes.
Yeah, I could definitely see a world Danny stays though. You know, like if he keeps performing,
I could too. If Danny Rick keeps putting in top sevens and Yuki drops off, what choice do you have with VCarb to keep Danny Rick? Or does that just drive his price up for another team?
Yep.
I would love to see Danny Rick in an Alpine again. I really would.
I would just like to see him on the grid next year.
Well, yeah.
I think we all would.
Haas or an Alpine. If I could see with Haas having
would be
two
cool,
seats
dude.
open, man.
Has to be
It
cool.
would be such a good
hilarious
him and
to see
Behrman?
him
And if
in
they're
a
gonna bring in
Haas.
Behrman, that's
Him
a
and
mil,
Behrman?
right?
That'd be
That's
good.
probably only like a mil. So you
I
could
think-
probably pay Danny he's at like 8 right now, I think. What if you offer Danny 7? You know,
I think that's the only thing withholding Danny Rick from a
Being a
Haas and
Haas
Rick
driver?
partnership is
Yeah.
how much can they pay him?
you know
Right?
how
But if you bring
crazy
in a
that would
Behrman,
blow
you pay
things
him the
up here?
minimum. You have the ability to,
Yeah.
especially if you finish
pay a
seventh.
veteran driver. Mhm.
Going back to something that I thought of earlier, Red Bull might have like a contract outside of F1 seats that he's still attached to as well.
Danny Rick?
Yeah.
There has to be an out in that though for him to
I'm
take.
sure there probably is,
Yeah.
but like I would imagine he's a part of that family. Like I mean,
Oh,
before
he for
you
sure
know,
probably
they
is, but that'd be
immediately
messed
put him
up.
into the reserve driver spot, and then immediately put him into DeVries' spot when he was not performing, and then unfortunately,
Well, him and Horner.
that's the thing. Yeah, you know. So maybe hey, and maybe that pays more than an
Pause.
F1 contract. You know,
Resume.
just being associated with Red Bull.
For sure. But with that, let's leave the seats because honestly, we have no idea. And we're gonna head right into the British Grand Prix preview. And right into the British Grand Prix preview. Joe, give us our last year recap.
Yeah, good old Silverstone. I love this track. I like watching this track. I love racing this track on the game as
This
well.
is a fun
It
track
is
to
one of my
race.
favorite tracks.
I
Yeah.
would agree with that.
So yeah, this year the Formula One Qatar Airways British Grand Prix 2024. Some fun facts as usual. Silverstone was the first Grand Prix hosting the inaugural F1 World Championship round in 1950. So this is the very first one. The most wins here is Lewis with 8, and we have an 89% chance of a safety car. So that could mess things up a little bit. Getting into last year, the starting grid was Max, Lando, and then Oscar. We saw Lando putting on for his home race, getting a very quick start off of the line, and then immediately takes first position from Max, while Oscar starts fighting Max for second right behind them. Behind him, two other Brits in the Mercedes fare a little bit differently. Russell gained one position for fifth, and then Hamilton lost a couple, dropping down the grid. On lap 5, Max's Red Bull dominance takes the lead back from Lando. Hamilton begins to make his positions back as he surpasses Alonso in lap 7. On lap 31, we see Russell overtake Charles Leclerc after a pit stop window for 8th place, netting himself 3rd. On lap 33, the Haas of K-Mag begins to billow smoke until it rose to a stop and produces a campfire on the side of the track. This brings out the safety car, initiating pit stops for the top 4 who haven't pit yet. Hamilton gets pretty lucky for the safety car. Pitting ends him up in 3rd place. Lando opted for the hards in the final stint. He started fighting Lewis behind him on the softs. On lap 39, he did actually concede 2nd place, I believe. Oh, no, he actually didn't. Lando held off Hamilton for the rest of the race. I just had put that in because I thought it was going to happen, but Lando kept that. We saw a couple more fights for the points, namely Perez making his way from 15th to 6th, and the Ferraris battling for the last 2-point position. So our final, Verstappen did eventually get past Norris, I think a few laps after the first one. So it's Verstappen, Norris, Hamilton, Piastri, and then Russell. This is Max's first win at Silverstone and Red Bull's first win since 2012. We saw 2 Brits on the podium. This was Oscar's best finish in F1 at this point. The Ferraris looked slightly out of form last year. Both cars were definitely affected by the pit stop strategy, however. And then in terms of DNFing, both Alpines out, I think Ocon may have had a collision and then had to retire, and I think Gasly was out right from the jump, and then K-Mag with that fire. Other way around.
Yeah,
All right.
Ocon went out after he got 9 laps completed. Gasly actually got 46 of the 52 laps completed.
Gotcha. All right, and then you got a little bit of damage. So that was last year Silverstone. I don't feel great about predictions actually. I'm not doing too hot on them.
This is a weird one too.
I feel good
It's a
about
tough one
one
this week.
person. One person. Otherwise, it's a little up in the air.
I feel good about 2.
Okay.
But I'm kicking us off to give
Do
us a
it.
recap
Do
of
it.
where we're at. Who could have predicted Russell Oscar Science last week? But Cole actually happened to get 3 points because he did predict Russell, or 4 points because he predicted. Can we just cut it that? I'm dumb. Just happened Lando George. Okay.
Yeah, 3 points.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll start us off this week, but to recap last week, who could have predicted Russell, Oscar, and Sainz on the podium? You very well could have predicted Logan finishing last, as Cole did. Cole also had Russell on that podium. So he got 3 points last week, bringing him to 21. I got 1 point last week at 22. Smeltsy got 1 point last week at 19. And Joe did not get any points last week, unfortunately, so he is still bringing in the rear at 17.
I cannot believe I said K-Mag for last. That was so
silly.
stupid.
You
that
need
was
a- you
dumb.
need a
I
good
said
week.
it, and then 2 of you guys were like, I was thinking that too. I was thinking maybe K-Mag, and I was like,
Yeah,
all right,
'cause-
I might have it. And he got
Dude finished
7th
eighth.
in the race. Oh, 8th in the
Yeah.
race? Man, what
So
a
we all
bad
know
call.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll kick us off this week. As you said, Joe, it's a tough one to predict right now. There's so many people that could be there with how well the cars are performing. I got Verstappen, Lando, Piastri, and for the bonus point this week, we are
Bonus
going
2 points. Are we doing 2 points for
the
bonus?
bonus
bonus
question
2
or the bonus one this week, which is worth 2 points. I also just messed up my podium, so I'm gonna have to redo that. But we'll get into the bonus points. That is for 8th place this week, so that's a little bit random. But to redo my podium, that is actually correct. I got Verstappen, Lando, and George on the podium this week, and I think Checo is going to take that 8th place spot.
Oh.
I'm up next here, obviously in second. Who would have thunk, huh? This point of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have Verstappen, Lando, and I'm gonna go Piastri.
Mm.
And then I had the same 4 as Tyler, and I don't want to have the same 4 because I gotta beat him. So
Well, you're a Red Bull hater. You could go Checo.
I know that's why I wanted to, but I'm actually gonna sprinkle in a little science
You're sprinkling a little
For
science.
8th?
for 8th.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that's
Smeltsy,
actually
you're
not
up
a bad
next, sir.
pick.
Thanks.
Max, Lando, and Lewis. Lewis owns this track. I think he's absolutely on the podium.
That was
And
it between me. It was
and
Lewis
maybe
and
not,
George.
you know. And I mean, George is a great pick too, especially with how well he's doing. But like Lewis's history here, I just think he's pumped. He's racing well. At some point, we should do who's gonna win the freaking race when it's not Max so much.
I 100% agree.
But yeah, bonus points for me for 8th place. That's Pierre Gasly.
Interesting.
The only thing I'm certain on 8th place, I'm gonna go with Checo. So I got a question before I give my prediction. I know one of the people that I want on there. Do you guys think I should be going safe or should I be going risky?
You're in last. Risk it up, bud.
Risky?
You need all the points you can.
But if
All
you
right.
but if you're wrong, then you just keep getting. That
you know
far
what?
down.
You live life only
I
once.
enjoy the races, you know? All right, I'm going to go risky then. I'm going to say Lando, Oscar, and George on the podium.
A Maxless
I'm
podium.
doing
I
it.
did think about it though.
I'm doing it.
but I just like not
almost-
2 weeks in a row.
I almost did all 3 Brits. I wanted to do Lando, Lewis, and George, but I think Oscar looked crazy good on the track last year. I think he's gonna perform well here.
Yeah.
So I need to
Oscar's
get him
having a
up
good
there.
race.
And then Lando, I'm rooting for Lando to win the race. So like even if Max wins, you know, it's whatever. But I think Lando has a really good shot at this. He's good at this race, and it's his home track. He loves it.
I thought you were gonna do Lando, Piastri, Verstappen. I thought you were gonna say I'm going crazy this week.
No. Oh man.
We should do 1 week where if like you guess the podium right, it's like point for per
Oh yeah.
podium too.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
For the bonus
sure.
question
For sure. Oh. Yeah.
An extra
I'm
point
down for that.
per place.
for podium placement.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Love that.
but that's off camera.
Little mid-season bonus. Mid-Cena. Yeah. Yeah. With that, any parting thoughts on Silverstone?
Fun track to watch. Excited for it. It's this upcoming weekend.
Yep.
The last of the triple header.
75% chance of rain.
Really?
No, I'm
Really?
just kidding. No, I'm
Oh,
just
you
kidding.
rat
Oh
bastard.
boy.
I have
Let me
no-
change my
I
podium.
have-
I was gonna say.
I have no idea what the weather's gonna be, but it can be wet there sometimes. So
That makes that Lewis and George
Yeah.
decision a lot easier.
yeah, for sure.
seriously.
for sure. With that, Joe, are you looking up the weather really quick?
Yeah, 100%.
What's it look like? Real quick before we wrap.
Hold
we
on.
might as
Like
well.
you said earlier, we have no internet down here.
Son of a gun.
Okay.
Here it is.
Friday, it is going to be raining. Saturday, it looks to be clear. We should be good. No
Famous-
inclement weather.
Famous last words.
But yeah, hey,
we should be
everything
good.
could change. That Friday rain could move up. You never know. So I think that's how weather works. Guys? Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. Let's
Guys,
end this.
back to you.
Let's get this.
Yeah, no. Obviously, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks again for the Cappy for sponsoring another episode. If you can see them, don't forget to get them ordered up before July 4th. So order them right now, actually, so they get there before your July 4th bangers. Don't forget it has a keychain loop on it. You can keep it with you at all times. Obviously, thanks again from all of us for watching Fast Laps. This has been Banter with the Boys.
Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. Tune in next time for more Banter with the Boys.